Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an angle to the race that we might see as decisive later. Well, Sunday we are racing with the group racing again, a Group 1 over 1200 metres, a Group 3 over 1800 metres. But the first race I'm going to take a look at is race 4, where our winning factor is the weights. Now this is a Class 4 over 1400 metres, and we have the last start winner, Daring Pursuit from the Casper Founds Yard. Also a last start winner, Tony Cruz trained D-Star, has a chance again. And Publicist, he's just hitting form for Pierre, and Sixth Generation going well for the Jamie Richards Yard. So they look the main chances to me, but the focus is really on Daring Pursuit and Sixth Generation, and coincidentally they had their most recent starts on the same day within an hour of each other on January 15. So we're going to take a look at those replays. First of all, Daring Pursuit in race 332, 1200 metres, and he's in green colours, gate 8. He jumps well enough, but there's a decent early tempo, and Vincent Ho looks like landing in a good off-pace spot before he finds a couple booting up under him, including Zach Purton on the favourite Brave Dreams there in the white sleeves. Now, briefly 3 wide, Vincent comes back behind the favourite and follows him. Now, when it gets serious in the straight, Daring Pursuit does look beaten for a turn of foot here. Brave Dreams gets away from him, goes clear, but Daring Pursuit, very brave, just keeps coming, and despite racing a bit greenly, he grabs the win in the final stages. Now, he looked every bit there a horse looking for 1400 metres, and that was the distance an hour later when Sixth Generation turned in his latest piece of work. Race 334, he's in mostly red colours and not the fastest away by any means. Sixth Generation from gate 10 finds quite a bit of speed driving up under him, so Luke Curry has no real option but to drift back, while we also see here D-Star in the purple colours from gate 13, and he's pushing forward to sit outside the leader for Angus Chong. Now the speed again is quite good early, but the leader's slow after the first turn. Sixth Generation still out the back, stuck wide but with some cover. He comes wider before the home straight, giving 5 length start, but does find the line well to go down by less than a length behind D-Star. Now, as you can see on the heat map there, the leaders in both of those races didn't exactly scorch home, so it did help horses a little bit running on from the back, but nevertheless the individual sectional times from Daring Pursuit and Sixth Generation there were pretty good and very similar to each other, in fact, within only a few hundredths of a second. Now, both horses have also had a problem in the past with barriers. Daring Pursuits had barriers 10 and 8, and Sixth Generation, he's had 4 runs for the Richards Yard, and he's had 8, 12, 8 and 10 in those 4 starts, so certainly not getting any favours either horse from the barrier draws. Now, I also want to take a look at the form of the current Hong Kong trainers, and as I mentioned, Jamie Richards going well now, and this is a look at the hot trainers in Hong Kong, that is, the stats for Hong Kong trainers in recent weeks, and this is the last 2 months, and who has the hot hand, as they say in basketball. Now, the last 2 months, star performances from a number of trainers, including championship leader John Size, but when we rank them in terms of beating market expectations, Ricky Yu, Manfred Mann and Jamie Richards are leading the way. Richards had an intentionally slow start to his first Hong Kong season, but has really hit his straps since the start of December. As I mentioned, both of these horses have had problematic draws in recent times, but not this time. When we take a look at the map, it looks a moderate kind of a pace, and we have probably only D-Star and Publicist looking for the front. The pace looks moderate, and Daring Pursuit from gate 2 and Sixth Generation in gate 4 are both likely to sit closer in the run than we saw in those replays earlier. In all likelihood, Daring Pursuit will be in front of Sixth Generation, so that is a little edge for him tactically at his first run up in distance. But for me, the tip in race 4 is 6th Generation, his winning factor, the weights. Now, I don't think there's a great deal between Daring Pursuit and 6th Generation, and both should get their opportunities from the better draws, even though there might be a slight map edge to Daring Pursuit. But he's also, because he's won that race, gone up in the handicaps, and that means that now 6th Generation is getting a 15-pound weight pull off that horse, and that might just be enough to swing the issue with Jamie Richards' horses racing so well. The other race I want to take a look at is the day's feature, the Centenary Sprint Cup, race 8, where our winning factor is the map. Now, this is the cream of our Group 1 sprinters on show here. I think it's a race where there may be some support for an upset winner in Sight Success, who looks likely to control the speed, but it's mostly a two-cornered story about what happens in running with Wellington and Lucky Swainess. So to the key lead-up races here, and the first we're going to look at is the Hong Kong Sprint in December, won by Wellington. And there's a bit to look at here, because all of Sunday's runners, except for Master 8, did run in this race. So quite a bit to take in, but mostly we want to focus on Wellington. He's in gate 10 with red, blue and yellow colours. And Lucky Swainess, he's in gate 3 with almost all yellow. And pay particular attention to them in the early stages. This is race 237, and a rare race that Lucky Swainess actually flew the gates. And he's at least level with most of Sunday's rivals initially, at least until Sight Success in the brown and white uses his superior natural pace to lead at what was a pretty moderate tempo for Group 1 horses. Ryan Moore on Wellington, we saw him jump very well, but he steadies back from the wider draw. And later in the race, the modest pace comes against Lucky Swainess. The runners don't tire as quickly, the field doesn't open up, and his path inside is totally blocked, while the wide draw has actually worked for Wellington, who gets a clear run down the outside to victory. Now, who knows if Lucky Swainess would have won with clear running? It's something we can't ever know, but certainly didn't get his chance to show what he can do. And he went back to the races on January 1 and was an easy winner over 1,400 metres. This is race 297, and once again, Lucky Swainess did jump well from the outside of the small field. Healthy Happy has too much speed for him, but that probably suited Zach Purton, who plants him in behind that horse in the soft tempo before the race becomes a sprint home in the final 400 metres. And anybody who took the short odds was never really worried. Lucky Swainess coasts around with his big handicap to outrun them over the final 200 metres. So both of these favourites come here in top form. I don't think there's a great deal between them in terms of their talent, but I think it's the map that is going to swing things Wellington's way. And we're going to take a look at that now. We saw in the Stewards Cup of just 7 runners last week that the map is so important even in a small field. I don't think there's any question the lead belongs to Sight Success if he wants it here, and I see no reason why he wouldn't want it. But with the outside draw, Lucky Swainess's chance is going to be held hostage by the tactics of runners underneath him, and that's even if he jumps as well as he has in those last couple of starts. Now, I've called the pace average here only because I think the other runners inside him will be making life tough for Lucky Swainess in the early stages. Now, we saw in the Hong Kong Sprint how well Wellington can jump, and that is a norm for him. He's fairly versatile tactically, but I think Alexei Bodel will want to occupy some space nearer the lead here, if for no other reason than to make sure Lucky Swainess doesn't get across easily. But Courier Wonder and Master 8 also have enough speed to push up under Lucky Swainess early, giving Zach Purton a headache as to whether he pushes all the way forward or chooses to come back and give away a start to his main rival, Wellington. Either way, I think Wellington's the horse who gets the easier passage through the race. So for me, the tip in race 8 is Wellington, his winning factor, the map. Now swap the barriers and swap the likely runs and I would be tipping Lucky Swainess. That's how close these two are. But I do think it's a vital edge for the Richard Gibson trained sprinter. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. Enjoy the group racing. We'll see you next time.